Welcome back to the Operation Freedom YouTube channel. What we do here is shine the light of truth on the deep state. They hate that. We do it figuratively with our presentations. We do it literally with our sponsor's product, PatriotLegacy.com. PatriotLegacy.com, featured product of theirs, the Patriot Beacon. 6 overall lighting functions. In addition, solar powered, don't need batteries. You can charge your other devices like your phone from it. In addition, you got a compass, you got a window breaking hammer, and you got a seatbelt cutter. Plus, if those deep state dweebs get just a little bit too close to you, blast them with this. They're gone. Go to patrioticlegacy.com, patrioticlegacy.com. Get yourself, your kids, your grandkids, your car. Can carry it with you anytime. patrioticlegacy.com, the Patriot Beacon. Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, is to provide you information the bought-off, lamestream, fake media will not touch. You can join us every Sunday on the radio show. It's live and it's free. All you have to do, you can stream it live. Just go to davejanda.com. It's every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. Hit the live button right in the middle of the homepage, right at the top, and join us. Great guests, great analysis, great information. In fact, we took one of the informations at the behest of the subscribers who without our subscribers at davejanda.com, this YouTube channel would not exist. The radio show would not exist. We hope you'll become a part of our Freedom family. But the subscribers said, look, the interview you did with Harley Schlanger on Sunday is so important and everyone needs to know. You need to release that on YouTube. We did that yesterday, Monday, December 30th. It's on this channel. Go there, listen to it, please network it. It really dissects what's happening with this impeachment goat rodeo hoax. Now, in addition, I've done some recent videos on this YouTube channel that, again, hopefully you will network. One is based, it's a two-parter on the IG report. Many people are saying, well, nothing happened with the IG report. Wrong. There is devastating information against the deep state in that report. Go to that report. It's called the IG report, and it's the IG report revelations, and it's two-parter. In addition, I did another two-parter on General Flynn and the recent judge's decision on the exculpatory evidence that shows his innocence that the judge is not releasing. You need to network that report as well. And I also did a two-part video presentation on the impeachment goat rodeo hoax. Again, information that hopefully you'll network. The title of today's presentation is President Trump, General Flynn, and Ukraine, all targets of the deep state. Look, President Trump became targeted by the deep state when he ran for the presidency, period. And as far as abuse of power in this impeachment goat rodeo, his abuse of power was he ran for president, he won the presidency, he took the oath of office, and he's fulfilling his constitutional duties like no other president in my lifetime. That's the abuse of power. Wrong. But I want to take you back to September 24th, 2019, because this is when the deep state went into overdrive. Okay. On that same day, Pelosi came out and announced that the impeachment inquiry was going to start. And what he said at the UN, that globalist confab that should be thrown out of New York, thrown out of our country, what he said there is what lit the fire under the deep state to go into overdrive. This from Liberty Nation, Graham Noble. Trump to UN, the future does not belong to the globalists. President Donald Trump delivered a speech to the United Nations and to the General Assembly this morning. The speech was wide-ranging, but the overriding theme was the importance of national pride and sovereignty to every country. President Trump stated, quote, "The future does not belong to the globalists," end quote. And that's what set them into hysterics. In addition to providing an overview of America's foreign policy challenges, the president berated China for its unfair trade practices and its violation of obligations made to the people of Hong Kong. He called for the empowerment of women. To close his address, the president delivered to the gathered world leaders and ambassadors a message of unity, peace, and recognition that, like the U.S., every country in the world should first and foremost act in the interests of its own people. Quote, lift up your nations, he told them. Cherish your culture, honor your histories, treasure your citizens, make your country strong and prosperous and righteous. Honor the dignity of your people, and nothing will be outside your reach, end quote. And that is exactly what the deep state is against, which is why they launched into overdrive, which is why the Ukraine hoax was launched, the impeachment hoax, and before that, the Russian collusion hoax. All of it was launched to target President Trump. Why? Because he wasn't singing out of the deep state hymnal. No. This is about your freedom and my freedom, and that's why 2020 is such a huge, crucial year. And this is why every single member of our freedom family, which I hope includes you, you will network information, not just from this channel, but other channels that are freedom-based, to your friends, to your families, to your colleagues, to your coworkers, to your neighbors. Because the more people we have educated with the facts, the more people we have empowered. Listen to that interview that I posted yesterday with Harley Schlanger. 100% of that interview will not be presented by the bought-off lamestream fake media ever. Why? Because that same lamestream media is a tentacle of the deep state, and they are there to promote propaganda that promotes the deep state, that keeps you fearful, that keeps you, quote, in line, that keeps you as a great servant to the deep state. This channel is dedicated to making you a freedom fighter. That's what President Trump is about. That's what General Flynn is about. Harley Schlanger, not in the interview I posted yesterday, but previously our discussions with Harley, talked about how the deep state targeted Ukraine, just as they targeted President Trump, just as they've targeted General Flynn. But they targeted Ukraine on several respects. One, they thought they could use Ukraine to incite a war with Russia. Deep state loves wars because it's their business model. Because out of wars, they get more power, control, and more money. It's another means of their money laundering operation. But there's a sick side to it as well. And out of war, millions of us that they call useless eaters die. They love that. It's their goal. The deep state targeted Ukraine because they thought they could use it to incite a war with Russia, launder more money, and kill a bunch of useless eaters. Harley spoke about an individual by the name of Natalie Vitrenko. She's a courageous former presidential candidate in Ukraine and an economist. And she outlined what the deep state did to Ukraine. It's what they've done to many other nations around the world. And it's what they want to do to the United States. And actually have been fairly successful. Through the Bushes, through the Clintons, and through Obama. They're puppets about raping and pillaging the country. Here's what Natalie Vitrenko pointed out. She presented a report at the Schiller Institute conference in Bad Soden, Germany, which exposed the horrific damage done to Ukraine and its people by the sponsors of the 2014 coup. Who were the sponsors? Yeah, the deep state. the Soroses of the world. And, oh yeah, deep state puppets like Obama and Clinton. Vitrenko shows that the economy, which had been relatively strong in 1991, actually number 10 in the world in per capita GDP, was systematically destroyed by the globalists and deep state. First, by the insistence that Ukraine must submit to the austerity policies of the International Monetary Fund, a tentacle of the deep state, following the collapse of the Soviet Union, and then again in the accelerated looting of the physical economy which followed the regime change coup in 2014. And who arranged that regime change coup in 2014? Right. Obama and Clinton. And who did they put to oversee Ukraine after the fait accompli of the coup? Yeah, Biden. Right. Enter Hunter. Enter the money laundering. That's what they do. They destroy countries. They launder money through them that's funneled back into their own pockets and their relatives' pockets. That's how they work. Vitrenko detailed how shock therapy model imposed by the IMF drastically reduced the standard of living through the cheap labor model and austerity demanded by the Western nations and by dismantling Ukraine's advanced industrial economy. This brought about a constant, unrestrained rise in the cost of living, she reported, which deprived the majority of the population of the ability to cover the cost of living with their income. This provided unrest, which provided a cover for the color revolution launched in February 2014 by deep state players such as Obama and Clinton, with demonstrations in Maidan Square in Kiev leading to the violent overthrow of the elected government of Viktor Yanukovych, bringing to power the corrupt Poroshenko regime, who the Obama administration, the deep state players such as Soros, loved. Many of those testifying against Trump today, such as career diplomats and intelligence operatives William Taylor, George Kent, Fiona Hill, Yanukovych, the U.S. ambassador, were involved in enforcing the shock therapy, like good deep state dweebs, and were supporters of regime change coup, joining forces with mega speculator and serial coup plotter George Soros. The muscle behind the coup was provided by Ukrainian neo-Nazis, such as the Azov Battalion. George Kent, one of the people who testified at the impeachment inquiry against President Trump, he drew an equivalent in his testimony between these neo-Nazis in Ukraine as being, quote, the equivalent of our own Minutemen of 1776. Not so much. Ukraine was raped and pillaged. It was used to try to incite a war. Well, that didn't work out so well for the deep state, so they said, we'll just stick with the money laundering operation. And that's what they did. And one of the reasons why they're pushing on this impeachment hoax, as I've outlined in previous videos, and I've gone into great length on this in our subscription platform, is all this foreign aid that goes to Ukraine, not just Ukraine, every country, is laundered selectively through these countries and funneled back into politicians' pockets or their institutes' pockets. A real good example of that is the McCain Institute. Money, hard-earned taxpayer money that we put on the table is funneled into these countries, supposedly for aid for these countries. It goes into a lot of these tin pot dictators that are supported by the deep state's pockets. And what isn't funneled into their pockets is funneled back into the politicians' pockets that okayed the aid through Congress, through the Republicrats. Not just Dems, but ours. And stop the right versus left stuff, Republican, Democrat. Forget it. There's one political party, as I've outlined since the inception of my radio show in October of 2010, the Republicrats. They're all owned and operated by the deep state, by the criminal banking syndicate, by the New World Order, by the globalist syndicate, whatever you want to call them. And they have targeted President Trump. And they've targeted all these countries as potential options for them to inflict violence and war so they can get more money and power and control. And so they can also launder money through them. That's what it's all about. And when people speak out against it, they're targeted. Whether they target President Trump with the fake Russian collusion hoax, the fake Ukraine hoax, the impeachment hoax, doesn't matter. Anyone who steps out of line and speaks against the deep state gets targeted. We've been targeted for outlining about their illegal surveillance activities that Brennan and Clapper and Obama were involved with their parallel platforms, one of which was the Hammer. We were targeted on that. We were targeted on exposing the murder of SEAL Team 6. We were targeted on exposing the deep state's Obamacare. They put the IRS on me and my family for 9 months because of what we exposed.